I had something very unusual happen to me this morning. I told Pastor about it, and Pastor said, wow. He said, that must have been an angel unawares. I get to the church about 5:30 on Sunday mornings. I got to get all the buses out and get the buildings ready and make sure the baptistry's on, that kind of thing. So I'm outside over here getting the buses out, and a homeless guy is walking down the sidewalk. Now, I pretty much know all the homeless people that hang out around the church. I've been here 10 years, and I know the people that come through here. I've seen them come to church. They come to our Eagles ministry. But I'd never seen this man before. And so I pulled one of the buses over, and I parked it, and I came out, and he's walking down Locust Street down the sidewalk. And he said, good morning. I said, good morning. He said, your work is holding up amazing during the storm. Have a nice day. And I thought, what in the world? I've never seen this man before. And he just kept walking down the sidewalk. And I thought, with all the situation going on with my wife, I haven't been able to be at the church as much as I want to. I come in sometimes when she's sleeping at night and I got somebody there, my son's there to be with her. I'll sneak over here to the church and get some things done, or I'll get over here early in the morning or in the middle of the afternoon if somebody comes by to spend some time with her. I'll run over to the church and get some stuff done. But I've been just kind of coming in and out. And I just thought that was very unusual. And I said, Pastor, I've never had that happen to me before. I don't know who that man was. I'm sure he didn't know me. But that's what he came up and said. I thought that was kind of unusual. But anyway, appreciate you praying for my wife. We almost lost her on Friday. Took her to the hospital. Her lung fills up with water about every 12 days. And they have to go into the back with a big needle and a drain, and they drain the fluid out of her lungs. So she's had this done 3 times before, and so she kind of knew what to expect. We took her to the hospital to have her lung drained, and just as soon as they got finished draining the lung, that tumor pain hit her. And I'm telling you, it was bad. I was in the waiting room because they won't let me in the room there. And the doctor come running out of the waiting room. He says, come. He said, bring her medications with her. And I walked in the waiting room, and they said, we're going to call the red blankets. And I said, later I asked my wife, I said, what's the red blankets? She said, well, code blue is when somebody is gone. Red blanket is one step before code blue. So they said, we're going to call the red blankets. Her blood pressure dropped to 77/67. And those of you who are in the medical field, you know that's not a good sign. And so all of a sudden, the room filled up with doctors and aides, and there was about 4 or 5 guys in there. And of course, she's an emergency room nurse, and they knew that. And so they would ask her questions, and she would answer them, to their satisfaction. And she got them to not call the red blankets, and she took some pain pills that she had, and she just sat there and just was in excruciating pain. And about 45 minutes later, everything subsided, and we were able to take her home. And we thank the Lord that because when your blood pressure drops that low, that's not a good thing. But afterwards, we got her home, and of course, she was completely worn out. We turned all the lights off in the living room, and she sleeps in a lazy boy chair in the living room because she can't climb the stairs. And finally that evening, she was rested. And then yesterday morning, she woke up, and she went up the stairs in our house for the first time in 6 weeks. She hadn't been upstairs. She can't do the stairs. She went upstairs. She spent most of the day yesterday without her oxygen and just had a complete turn. I said, girl, you surely know how to scare people. I said, one day you're almost ready to go to heaven, then the next day she's had the best day she's had in 6 weeks yesterday. But what happened was when they got ready to drain the fluid, normally the fluid's about 3/4 of the way up into the lung when they get ready to drain it. This time, before they got ready to drain it, it was only halfway full. And so I told her, I said, I think what happened yesterday was they were able to take more fluid out of you than they ever have before. And that's why you had this good day on Saturday, and you had this breathing capacity and all that kind of thing. But tomorrow morning, she starts her first chemotherapy treatments. I wish you'd pray for her. I know that she's dreading going to lose her hair and going to be sick for several days. And they got her set up for 6 regimens of chemo 3 weeks apart. But tomorrow's going to be her first one, and so she's kind of fearful about that. But she had a good day yesterday, and that really encouraged her. And thank you to many of you who sent her cards, and I know a lot of you are praying for her, and I appreciate that very much. She's not out of the woods yet. I'm thankful for the good day yesterday, and so is she. First good day she's had in 6 weeks. But we know we have some other issues ahead of us. But thank you for praying for her. She's at home today and getting ready mentally for this chemotherapy treatment starting tomorrow. And one of her sister-in-laws came in and spent the weekend with us. And my daughter's been coming in town and staying with her. But thank you so much for praying for her. She's got like I say, got a lot of uphill ahead of her. But the Lord's in control, and she's very calm and peaceful about whatever happens with all of this. And that comes from faith in the Lord. That comes from having a trust in the Lord. If you trust in the Lord when times are good, and that but becomes a habit in your life, then when times are bad, you just go on with that same habit that you have of trusting the Lord. We've made several major moves in our lifetime. We were both raised in Hammond, Indiana. I thought I was going to live and die in Hammond, Indiana. I worked for the church for 23 years up there. Her family was in the church. She was raised in that church. And we made this major move in the year 1990 down to Louisiana by faith. Went down to Louisiana. Of course, that's where we got hooked up with Pastor Wilkerson again. We ended up in the same, I knew him from Indiana. We got into the same church in Louisiana. And then when he came here, of course, we followed a year later, and we've been here 10 years. So we've made some major moves in our lives by faith. But those were good times. Those were, but then when the bad times come, you just need to continue trusting the Lord. The same Lord that leads you during the good times will be the same Lord that leads you during the tough times. And so we trust in the Lord, whatever His will be. We've asked Him to heal her, and we hope that He will. But the bottom line is that when Jesus was on the cross, in the Garden of Gethsemane before He was crucified on the cross, He prayed. He said, Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. He was looking to His crucifixion and all that was going to happen to Him. But then He said, nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. The Lord asks us to bring our petitions to Him. He asks us to come to Him and pray and tell Him what we would like to have. But we always have to revert back and come back to the position of, but Lord, whatever your will is, that's what we'll accept. Whatever your will is, that's okay with us. Now, if we can have a vote in this thing, this is what we would like to have happen. But if you choose not to do that, we're still going to love you. We're still going to trust you. And whatever your will is, that's what's going to happen in our lives. And that's the way that Gail and I have looked through this whole thing. And she has a very positive outlook towards the Lord. She hasn't lost any of her faith in the Lord or her love for the Lord. But during the difficult times, sometimes you just get put through the fire. You get put through the testing. But remember, God will not leave you. Jesus said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. And it's during those tough times you need to cling on to those promises and look to those. But thank you again for those who have sent cards and those of you who have prayed, and I appreciate that very much.